Doug here. Randy duct taped a jetpack to a fucking lawn chair. Says he's testing launch physics. I'm not stopping him. He cleared the whole fucking canyon in a lawn chair. I swear to God, if he survives this, I'm putting in for reassignment.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Quest Me, the Star Wars podcast that takes you on a quest through legends and new canon. I am your host, of course. My name is Josh. I am joined by my very special friends, Phil and Justin. Justin is here.
Hey, I am.
Yeah, it's good to see you. How are you?
Pleasant surprise, man.
Yeah.
Hey, I work, man. I work.
You do, and you work hard, and you do a great job, and we appreciate.
It's a rotating schedule.
Yeah, that's fair. Phil, how you doing? How's the run fair treating you?
Hey, man, it's fun in the sun. No, it was a pretty good day. I have not yet had time to fully de-pirate, so but
that's okay.
That's all right.
We love it when you're here in all of your pirate garb. It's great. It's just too bad we're not doing Skeleton Crew or something.
I know, right? We'll get there. We'll do
that. Would have been proper.
Yeah, it really would have, because
next time we do anything where we get Mandoverse back over to dealing with pirates or what have you, we'll figure something out.
Yeah, we'll get there. But today we are going to be discussing the Mortis Gods, the Mortis trilogy, the ones, the users of the Force. There's all sorts of different names for the Mortis Gods. So last episode we had Ro on, and I am so sorry, Ro. The first time I introduced you, I called you Roy, and I feel like a dickhead about that. But we had Ro from the Scarif Scuttlebutt podcast on talking about the World Between Worlds. That was a great time. I love talking about this mystical kind of crazy Star Wars stuff. You know what I mean?
The deep lore.
Yeah, the real deep lore. Justin unfortunately missed out on the World Between Worlds, but
I would have loved to be there.
Yeah, is there anything that you wanted to say? Like anything in 2 minutes you could sum up for the World Between Worlds, what you thought of it, where you think it's going, that sort of stuff?
I think it all ties into what we're going to be talking about tonight, just with the cliffhanger of the ending of Ahsoka. But it's I'm excited just to continue on to the meat of today.
Yeah, it's almost as if someone planned this. Yes, I feel like the Mortis Gods have a lot to do with what's going to be happening in the future of the Star Wars universe. But before we get into any of that, the one thing that we have to do always is go to a special place that Phil knows very well.
I'm looking for a drink.
Where are you going, Master? For a drink?
Do you have spiced tea?
That's right. It is a bar far away where Phil shows us what he is drinking tonight. By the way, that is all in Arabesh. The that little in the clip there, it is in Arabesh. Thanks. Big shout out to Phil for getting that all figured out. So, Phil, take it away. What are we drinking tonight?
All right. So, in continuing our theme from last episode, where I introduced you all to the Mortis Gods, I have come up with the Mortis Gods Part 2. This one is a riff on a Moscow Mule. So it is 2 ounces of Malort, 1 ounce of Strega, which is like my favorite herbal liqueur. Name means witch. Thematically appropriate for anything involving the Night Sisters and whatnot.
Absolutely.
So 2 ounces Malort, ounce of Strega, ounce of lemon juice, Pour it into, in this case, I used a copper mug with ice, and then topped it with 12 ounces of ginger beer.
Nice.
Yeah, it is.
Doesn't sound too bad at all. You know, I'm
Really
starting to appreciate ginger beer a little more. I never was a big fan, but it's it's grown on me a little bit.
I have a couple of different favorites. Gosling's does like a really solid non-alcoholic ginger beer, which I use for mocktails and various other things. But I also really like Krabby's, which is a alcoholic ginger beer, which just gives any cocktail made with it just a little more punch. Yeah. Yeah. This is fairly sweet despite the lemon juice. The Strega and Malort all kind of blend decently well. And it really cuts a lot of the kind of astringent qualities of the Malort. And I know people, it's become kind of the meme drink. But I really don't think it's nearly as bad of a liqueur as a lot of people tend to give it credit for.
It's become a meme drink? I don't even know.
I don't know what
Their
that means.
whole ad campaign, they had a whole marketing campaign that involved the phrase, "These pants aren't going to shit themselves."
Oh.
No, they fully embrace the fact that it's very acquired taste.
It sounds like it's very summery and refreshing and herbally.
Yeah,
That was
very
the
herbal.
picture
Yeah.
it.
So, and
Yeah,
it's delightful. So yeah, we'll have the recipe for y'all in the show notes. If you've got a bottle of Malort that someone gifted you as a prank and you need something to do with it, I got you covered. Or if you're from Chicago, like legit, y'all are doing some weird shit over there, but it's pretty good.
Chicago's always doing weird shit though, but
as always, drink responsibly.
yes, thank you so much for that, Phil. I actually have some Star Wars news today. In the news. It's really not like nothing too crazy, but Star Wars actually officially confirmed the population of Coruscant. You guys want to take a guess on what the population of Coruscant is?
Are we upwards of 500 million?
I'm going 2 trillion.
Justin's going 2 trillion.
Yep.
1.5 billion.
Million or billion?
Billion. 1.5 with a B.
$1 billion.
Justin was much closer.
Okay.
The new Star Wars Acolyte Visual Guide gives
Acolyte.
a population census of 2.9 trillion people for Coruscant. Just under 3 trillion. Now,
damn.
It really, none of that matters. It doesn't really. I just think that's a really interesting stat that they finally put,
actually put a hard number on something.
Yeah, because like I think of that all the time. Whenever we go visit Coruscant, like Andor or whatever show we're watching, I'm like, there's so many people here. I wonder what the population is.
I have never asked myself that.
Are you
I
really?
knew it was dense. I knew it was multi-tiered.
That's
dense.
the thing. The layers are where things get chunky. Just the levels of the city that exist there.
Right. They used to, and so there was a book in 2003 that came out called Coruscant and the Core Worlds, and that extended universe population was originally 2 trillion. So, as Disney does, they had to go bigger and bolder with 2.9 trillion. So, yeah, fun fact that comes from Gaming Bible. Most of these little news things come from Gaming Bible, to be honest with you. The next bit of news that I have is actually kind of exciting because there's another little rumor happening. These next 2 bits of news are more rumors.
Sorry, gang.
No, you're good. It's more rumors than the news, I guess. But I don't know. For some reason, I just feel like these have some good. I'll put the links in the show notes so you guys can all make your own.
Hit us with the rumor.
Conclusions. But the rumor is that Mandalorian and Grogu is actually going to kick off a new trilogy of movies. That Mandalorian and Grogu is not going to be a standalone. That if it is a successful movie, which I believe we all think it will be, they are going to spawn a trilogy out of it. What do you think of that, Justin?
I mean, I'm a huge Mando fan, and I'm very unsure of where they're going to go with it. But it's Star Wars; they can do whatever the hell they want. So I'm excited as long as Filoni is heading it, or Favreau, or both.
And they'd both be running it for sure.
And I'm confident in them.
Phil, would you be more excited for a trilogy, or would you prefer to have more Mandalorian series?
I would probably rather have more series, but I understand the financial appeal of a theatrical release for something, especially if they're able to actually like finagle a plot that can properly take 3 movies. I also understand that there is that Star Wars fixation with trilogies.
It's very true.
I mean, technically now even Rogue One is a trilogy with seasons 1 and 2 of Andor. So,
Hey,
you're not wrong.
You got it.
Now, what if I said that this trilogy of movies, and I have no base for this. This is just something that I've thought up in my own head. But what if this trilogy of movies kind of ran like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, where it is like where the big stuff happens is in the movies, but then all these smaller stories come out with Ahsoka and Skeleton Crew and other things that connect a bigger story that then
I would like
movies.
them. I would like them to have a very clear roadmap in place before launching that.
I would think that Favreau, being who he is, would have that because he did lay out the very first, like up to the Avengers, he helped lay that out. So,
but prior to Avengers, they weren't trying to tie in anything. Like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. didn't kick off until after Avengers.
Well, yeah.
You know, just as an example, because I know, and it's less of an issue with network with streaming than it is with network TV, because they ran into the stuff where they'd have like a movie premiere in the theaters, and then like 2 days later on network TV, they'd have an episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that tied into that. But if you hadn't gone to see the movie in theaters like the first day or two, you were going to be missing out. And I hate for fans to have to be put through that kind of thing again.
I don't think they would do that necessarily, but I would think that it would be like Mandalorian and Grogu comes out, and then a few months later, you know, after it's on streaming already and everyone's seen it, then Ahsoka season 2 comes out, which continues obviously Ahsoka's story, but then starts to tie in a little bit to the bigger universe of the Mandalorian. See, I guess just the way that I see it,
if it's presented well,
as long as they don't pull a Lost. Those guys said they had a roadmap, they had no direction, and then look how it ended.
Well, I mean, J.J. Abrams already messed up one trilogy. I don't think they're going to let him near another one. So
please,
I don't think we have to worry about Lost coming into the fold here. But yeah, I think it'd be really cool if they did a trilogy and kind of connected everything else, and they did it the right way. Because like right now, the MCU is a mess with all their different shows and stuff. They're having to pivot hard.
Well, that new Captain America, as much as I love Anthony Mackie,
it was a mess.
It was horrible.
Yeah,
it was trash.
I am kind of glad I didn't go see it in theaters.
Me too.
Because I honestly think I enjoyed it more than both of you, but that's just
Did
me.
You?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was happy to see Harrison Ford doing more stuff, and I was happy to see Red Hulk show up for shit. I mean,
and Adamantium is cool, you know.
And we're doing deeper lore. Again, we're doing more stuff, trying to kind of tie in more of the comic elements. And I
just want me some X-Men. Give me X-Men and do it right.
I don't know about that, but they're coming. Yeah. So fun. I think it'd be fun to see a trilogy of that, and I think those characters are popular enough that they would be successful. We'll see.
I think there's potential there.
Yeah,
I think there's definitely potential there.
I would agree.
I think they could actually like pull off a solid enough plot to make it happen. But I also kind of liked that Mando and Grogu were less directly, involved with so many of the happenings of the wider universe.
Well,
but that's pretty much my feeling with anything Star Wars, is that we could do so much within that whole galaxy that there's
so many dots
stories
right now.
to tell.
There's so many
The
dots.
universe, man. You can go anywhere with it. It's just that Din Djarin and now Din Grogu was the hook, line, and sinker for most fans.
Oh yeah,
right. Well, now I mean, if you
and they pioneered,
back,
everything with the volume, on just the way they film the whole thing. It's
right. It's very OG Star Wars.
Yeah,
in a way. And again, if you pull back a little bit and look at like the grander scale of things and see all the different dots that these shows have put into place, Mandalorian is now working with the New Republic. He's doing bounties for them, right?
Yeah.
The New Republic and Hera just found Ezra come back from
and they
a
know
different
where
universe.
Thrawn is.
And Thrawn is now back into the fold, back over on the Witch Planet.
And Purgles are flying around.
And Purgles are flying around. But this is what I mean is like there are different, like you could connect the Mandalorian to Ahsoka just via the New Republic because you got Hera there. And if what's his name, if they're looking for some badass to go do something to Thrawn, you might want to hire the Mandalorian with his little Jedi Grogu.
And send Carson Teva and R5 along just for fun. And
not to mention, Mandalorian has already met Ahsoka. Grogu and Ahsoka have been acquainted. If Hera, decides to reach out to Captain, is it Tarva?
Teva. Carson Teva.
If she reaches out to Carson to help
here's the thing.
And Carson was in Ahsoka, who then is the person that met up with Mandalorian at season 3. Like
she could also reach out to Zeb.
Reaches out to Teva,
who knows Teva.
There's so many different dots that you could connect that like they really could, even just with Ahsoka and Mandalorian, they could keep Ahsoka going for like the in between the movies, and then keep Mandalorian going, and then the last of the trilogy would be the culmination of both shows,
equaling the Thrawn saga.
Correct,
or Throg for short. Yes. Please don't call it a Throg.
I saw where you're going with that.
Anyway, I digress. I have one other piece of news that I don't know how you guys are gonna feel about it. I'm pretty cool with it. The Rey movie has been put on hold.
Oh my no.
So that's cool. But the Dawn of the Jedi other movie / trilogy they've been talking about is still happening. Like it's moving forward at like a good pace. So Dawn of the Jedi is supposed to be a movie that's set like thousands of years in the past, where they talk about the beginning of the Jedi, which that also could lead into, because my whole point of these news, the reason I bring these two news sections in is because they could deal with the Mortis Gods. The Dawn of the Jedi could deal with how the Mortis Gods came to be, and then Ahsoka and Mandalorian could deal with where the Mortis Gods are now. So, anyway, are you guys upset about Rey getting put on the back burner? Phil?
I have honestly no strong feelings about a Rey project one way or another. I like Daisy Ridley. I think she did very well with the material that she was presented. I think
it's a nice way for saying it sucked.
She tried her hardest.
Like, look, we ran into the same thing with elements of the prequel trilogy. They're just doing a job. They're not the character. They're not these people. They're not the ones responsible for
looking at all of you Rose haters out there. That
God,
Rose Tico.
fucking love Rose
Totally
Tico.
random.
She's not my favorite, but like what you people did to her was rude.
Yeah. Nah. But no, I like look when something Star Wars comes out, I'm gonna watch it.
Of course.
Always.
I maybe in the theater, maybe not in the theater.
Right. I think that depends on the marketing. You know what I mean? Like if it looks
on the
really good, I'm
marketing
probably
and
gonna go see it in the theater. But if it looks like
you know,
ass,
I
I'm probably gonna
do
wait.
I do legitimately love the idea of having more Star Wars stuff being released theatrically, because then I have a chance to take my kids to go see some Star Wars stuff in the theaters.
Of course.
Which even, compared to other film like theatrical experiences, seeing Star Wars in a theater is
Nothing like it, man.
there really is nothing like it.
It's superior to everything.
I haven't done a midnight movie theater
Man.
waiting line since I think I went with you, Josh, to see episodes at 8.
I think episode 9 was the last time I did a midnight release.
That was at the IMAX on Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was the last time I did a midnight release.
Yeah.
But Phil's right, dude. I would love to go see some Star Wars movies, new ones, rather than 25 and 20th.
Anniversary edition releases are cool, but like
it's not the same.
Let's go see something new.
Yeah, now when you know what's gonna happen.
I want that wow factor of in sitting there and questioning my reality and existence and crying and yelling for the first time.
Yeah, I'm so excited for Mando and Grogu. Just for that reason alone, just to have Star Wars in theaters again. To go through that whole experience where I go fight my way to the front to get a popcorn bucket.
Damn straight. I don't
Get
care,
into the
you
theater
little 5-year-old. Pow!
Yeah, and sitting there in the anticipation, waiting for the lights to go down, and then seeing all the trailers, and like thinking that the 5 trailers that are playing is just 3 too many, because all I want to do is see Star Wars, like,
do we really need to see Maria Menounos do another whole bit of
yeah. I think I agree. I do want to see some Star Wars in the theaters again. That's new. Yeah. So that's all the news I got for this week. It's mainly rumors, but yeah, good to have something, at least something to kind of keep us going. So this week we are talking about the Mortis Gods. The Mortis, the ones, the family of force wielders. They're gods. They're very interesting. It's hard to explain them in a way. So I will ask you guys first what the Mortis Gods are to you, and then I will read the Wikipedia. So Justin, when you wow, my voice just cracked. What the hell?
18-year-old Josh.
Congratulations. We knew you'd get there eventually.
Your balls dropped.
Your dad and I are so proud of you.
Oh my god. When you first watched the Mortis trilogy for Clone Wars, what did you think about them? What were your like initial impressions, if you can remember that far back?
Oh, a little bit of me thought that they were retconning midichlorians.
Okay.
Just because they said the origin of the Force came from their installation or the planet, whatever it was. Mm-hmm. And then I started thinking, and I'm like, no, they can't do that. But to see like a physical form of someone that is the light side and then the dark side, and then you have the father in the middle, was just cool to see. Like, I thought it was a possibility of the Grey Jedis finally making their appearance, but really it was just the embodiment of the Force. And then I just thought it was awesome. I think I remember texting you.
Yeah, we had some conversations for sure. Phil, what were your thoughts on the Mortis Gods when you first saw them in Clone Wars?
I came into Clone Wars fairly late.
Same.
With the Filoni series. But coming back to the whole trilogy with the Mortis Gods, it felt very randomly thrown into the middle of the other events of the series. But I loved it as kind of a detour. It's like, hey, here's a little what if episode of what would happen with Anakin if he actually found out that he is the chosen one, that he's going to bring balance to the Force. If he's told all of these things that Qui-Gon suspected about him.
Yeah.
And so we have the Mortis Gods presented to us in the middle of all of this. We have these three figures who are incredibly powerful, very mysterious, and just enough of a twist on the lore that we knew already that it really just I think it landed very well even at the time. Like, I think it probably I wasn't watching it as it came out, so I don't know exactly how the fandom responded in the moment of the releases of those episodes, but I think they're fun new figures to kind of change up our way of looking at the Force, at our way of looking at just kind of the plane of existence that we know in Star Wars.
I mean, you've got yeah. It's essentially, I mean, I did a lot of research on this. There's a lot of stuff online about the Mortis Gods. And they are much deeper, I feel like, than a lot of people really give them credit for.
Yeah.
You are absolutely right though. It's one of those, it's a trilogy.
Yep.
That it's again a trilogy. And it's just a random trilogy plopped in the middle of this season 3 arc with, basically, I mean, the intro that they do at the beginning is
so
Obi-Wan and Ahsoka are headed to Rex to blah 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 blah, and then they just disappear.
Yeah,
but
and they kind of blip out of existence as far as anyone else is concerned.
But they don't.
Yeah,
because when they come back, it's literally
like the comms blacked out for a second, and then they're back,
and
it was all a dream,
or was it?
But these episodes come in season 3 of Clone Wars. The first one is called Overlords. The second one is called Altar of Mortis, and the third one is called Ghosts of Mortis. And it's very, very they do a lot of future. They look into the future. They look into the past. You get, like Justin was saying, the embodiment of the light, the embodiment of the dark. All those different things, and yeah, it's hard to explain, so I will let Wikipedia kind of do it. The Ones, also known as the Mortis Gods, were a powerful family of Force wielders that resided on the planet Mortis. They consisted of the son who aligned with the dark, the daughter who was aligned with the light, and the father who represented the balance of the Force. So both the son and the daughter were immortal. So long as the father remained alive, they could only be killed by the dagger of Mortis. So there's a lot of really fun, as I was looking more into these episodes, there's a lot of fun metaphors that go along with the Star Wars universe as a whole, right?
Yeah. Sorry, I just got really distracted. I had to go check something really quickly.
Sure.
I guess Pernilla August actually did come back to play Shmi Skywalker in that. That just made me happy.
And Liam
we
Neeson.
knew Liam Neeson had come back for the
Qui-Gon.
But just that Pernilla August came back for that too. Just
it's funny because one of the interviews, I have a bunch of clips from a couple interviews from Dave Filoni, and he had mentioned that one of the casting directors that got Shmi and Qui-Gon like cast.
Yeah.
When they told her about it, she was like, "We have to get her back.
Yeah.
We have to bring her back for this."
It's like 3 lines of dialogue, but
right, but it's good. I think the balance of the Force is really interesting to me, because that's all that Anakin is like basically
chosen.
raised up to be, is the chosen one to bring balance to the Force.
mm-hmm.
So is the father like the old chosen one?
That
Is
was
that-
always the vibe I kind of got, was that he was the initial
original.
balance.
Right.
Now, whether or not he is representative of kind of the origin of the Force is another question, but
Yeah. And it's crazy to think that the father, because I feel like the whole trilogy, the father is just trying to get Anakin to replace him. Because
Yeah.
if the daughter or the son were to leave Mortis, it would basically just wreak havoc on the entire universe.
on the Force, on everything, yeah.
Right. And so they have to stay there. And the father is the one to do that. And I think one of the best clips to kind of show that comp of the father, why he asked Anakin, like, because he's obviously there to have Anakin take his place, and I think this clip kind of shows why.
Mistake. He brought us here for a reason.
That's not the right clip. Here it is.
Who can make my children release them?
Anakin! The planet is the Force. Use it. You will let them go.
So two things with that. Anakin is literally just chokeholding both the son and the daughter. Like, he is controlling them. And the other thing is, kind of resembles the World Between Worlds right there.
Yes, it does.
As he's standing there. So is Mortis in the World Between Worlds? Like, is it part of the World Between Worlds? Because this place is not on a map. They never see anything. They basically just dream and go there. Right?
It's gotta be, man. It blipped in and blipped out, just like Ahsoka does in Rebels, and in her show.
See, and I had a whole different opinion on that last week.
Go on
with the Ahsoka show. Like I said, I still think to this day that was a near-death experience. That she didn't actually go to the World Between Worlds. That she was just drowning, and that she went there in her near-death experience.
So in this
arc, I know we argued about this a long time ago when the Ahsoka episode first aired. I know you and I argued about that.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Ahsoka is the new daughter.
Well,
so she can access that world. I believe it was meant, or the world between the worlds, or whatever. Sorry, was designed as a prison to hold the Mortis Gods.
Okay. That's an interesting.
Look at that! Like you just see the stars and whatnot arrive, and Anakin sitting there with both of them inside the circle.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting take on that, because it would make sense to have them in a place like that they could never escape.
Mm-hmm.
But then Mortis would actually be the World Between Worlds, right? Like, is that what you're kind of saying? Is that Mortis is the World Between Worlds?
Pretty much,
like their prison, basically.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I could see it. And don't get too far ahead of yourself with the Ahsoka is the daughter yet, because we will be
we'll get there
that for sure. But I like that theory that the World Between Worlds is a prison, but I still think that was just a near-death experience. And Ahsoka had been there before. She had seen the World Between Worlds when Ezra pulled her in there. She knew about it. and then that was just her projecting.
What about
when
Jason
she's that.
hearing and feeling the lightsaber battles while looking into the distance into the ocean?
Well, can't Jedi look into dreams and thoughts?
Touche, sir.
See?
You just pulled the trump card. It was the Force.
Well, I mean, Jason has the Force, and he can absolutely, like, he might not know how to control it quite yet, but if he is attuned to it, then he could absolutely jump into Ahsoka's thoughts and her quote-unquote near-death experience.
All right. The Force did it.
But I love that scene that makes it kind of gives you a foreshadowing of what the world between worlds is. It's just something in the middle of space and time that no one really knows how you get there. I also like to think that Mortis is just a giant Dagobah.
Oh, just like a Force Nexus?
Yeah. That it's more there to go through trials and tribulations and challenges, kind of like Luke did with the cave on Dagobah. It's like a giant cave sort of thing.
Okay.
I don't really have a lot to solidify that theory, but I just think it would make a little bit of sense because Anakin does go through a ton of trials here. Like, this is all of this is basically just to test Anakin and see if he's the chosen one. Right?
They even
Ostensibly,
call it
yeah.
the trials.
Yeah, the trials. But yeah, it's this, like you were saying, the second episode, this is kind of where Justin gets his Ahsoka is the daughter theory, because this is the one where Ahsoka dies, like she literally dies, and then the daughter basically sacrifices herself for Ahsoka to live, and so the essence of the daughter lives on in Ahsoka because she did give her life, and I really feel like that's why later on in the World Between Worlds we see the owl.
Oh, absolutely.
That makes sense.
The owl is connected to the daughter.
Always has been.
And
and her appearance in her kind of transformed state, even there in Clone Wars, was more bird-like than the Son's form, which was definitively more like reptilian. So,
well, we'll get in. There's a fun Filoni interview that talks about it. It's a griffin and a gargoyle.
Yeah,
those are basically what they are. But yeah, it's crazy to think that Ahsoka's the daughter, because she would have to be now at this point, with that essence, with the owl. Everything points to Ahsoka took over the daughter's role in a way.
She's the new embodiment. Is that what you're getting to?
Yeah, in a way.
Okay.
It's kind of the same with, like, Anakin would have kind of taken over the embodiment of the father later on.
They're both dead now.
Yeah.
Yep.
So what's Balin doing?
Well, Balin, that's the question. Who's the brother? Because if we're as geeky as we say we are, and we know as much about Star Wars as we do, then we would have to point to the new reincarnations of these characters, the father being Anakin and Ahsoka being the daughter. Who would be the brother?
Son.
The son, sorry.
Unknown character?
Ezra, potentially.
Oh yeah, he did have that dark side touching with Maul. I totally forgot about that.
And what a crazy twist that would be.
That's kind of the
for Ezra to be the son. And yeah, what a crazy twist that would be.
And then Balin's the father, bringing a balance.
Anakin is the father.
Anakin's dead though.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah. See, I don't. Do they have to be living? I guess we don't really know the rules.
Not in the World Between Worlds.
Right. We don't necessarily know the rules of the Mortis Gods. So
We just
do they have to
knew-
be living, or do they just have to be part of the Force? Because Obi-Wan showed up on Mortis, although technically Obi-Wan never completed his training to become a Force ghost. He did show up on Mortis as a complete Force ghost. So what are the rules there? Like, if you're dead, do you exist in the world between worlds? Do you exist on Mortis no matter what? And then can you come through the world between worlds as a Force ghost and then, you know, become human again or something like that? Like,
Ooh, could you re-manifest from the world between worlds?
right.
That'd be dope.
It'd be interesting. And I think this is where we get into that you know, you write yourself into a corner, and hopefully Dave Filoni and Jon Favreau are not writing themselves into a corner, and they have a good idea of how they would want to, because they are clearly bringing in the Mortis gods
Oh yeah, Peridia.
into Ahsoka. They're absolutely doing it. So hopefully they have some sort of direction, because like we could sit here and theorize all day, but we're never gonna fucking know.
Time will tell.
Yeah. I do like to think that the father is like, there's a lot of Christianity references in this. And I feel like the father is the God, the all-knowing God, right? And that's the clip that I was going to play earlier. That's what this kind of reference.
Mistake. He brought us here for a reason. We must not get involved. Any conflict here could have dramatic repercussions for the universe at large.
I don't care.
So Obi-Wan already knows that whatever happens on Mortis could affect the entire universe. And then you have later on, this is a little bit longer of a clip. But here, let me I'm just gonna play it anyway because it kind of goes with the Obi-Wan thing.
As the balance in this world crumbles, so shall war escalate in your galaxy. As my son has descended into the dark side, so have the Sith gained strength.
We will stop your son.
No! You must go now! He needs your ship to leave the planet. You must leave!
So it's already affecting the universe at large, according to the father. What they're doing is already affecting the universe now.
Now, if that's outside of time, as it seems to be, how much of Anakin's presence there and his actions within that set up the events of, you know, the original Skywalker, the Skywalker saga as a whole?
Well, but the thing is, the brother shows him, the son shows him everything that he does. Like Anakin sees everything, he sees the entire future. Like he knows everything he's gonna do.
Vader. He sees
him killing the younglings. He sees all of it,
and it's all.
And he loses his mind. You know, he loses his mind over it. Like he goes full on dark side after he figures out that he goes full on dark side. He's like, well, fuck it. Instead of changing, I'll just embrace it. So, excuse me. It's just it's funny to me that like these little moments, these few blip seconds that happen in the Mortis planet are affecting this universe at large, because now that the daughter is dead, what does he say? He says the Empire is rising, or whatever it is. The Clone War is starting now. The daughter is dead. All that stuff's happening, and then once the son dies, even more stuff is going to happen. So like, it's, to me, it seems like they're trying to make Mortis the web that connects everything, and if you cut part of that web, it destroys part of the universe. You know what I mean? Like there has to be a father, son, and daughter for the universe to move.
Yeah.
In the right way.
Yeah.
Which is crazy. That's a crazy thought to think like they're gonna have to develop a new father, son, and daughter and put them in a Loki state in the middle of the universe to hold all
Just
the
to hold
threads
everything
together.
together.
I got it.
Yeah.
Took me a second.
Yeah, Loki is in the Marvel character, not
Yeah.
Loki.
Yeah. So anyway, I always after watching this and stuff, I was like kind of asking, how did all of this happen? Like, was this a Filoni creation? Did the Clone Wars people, like, was it just something that happened in the background? And I actually found a great interview. So I'll let Filoni explain it.
When Christian Taylor, the writer and I were discussing these stories after George had laid them out. We were discussing, how do we conquer this, and how do we bring it all together to make it make sense and still maintain some kind of continuity with the other Star Wars films, with something this supernatural. I would just tell Christian, you have to think of it like these are 3 entire episodes that take place in the tree when Luke is on Dagobah.
Again, I played the wrong clip.
Oh.
That was supposed to be played when I talked about the tree, when we were talking about the tree, because that's basically how they wrote this. The clip in question, though, I don't know what I labeled it as now. Basically, it's Filoni talks about, this is all Lucas. Lucas had all these notes and all these characters and all this storyline written down years ago. And he was the one that brought it into the Clone Wars and basically was like, all right, there's a father, there's a son, there's a daughter. One of them's a griffin, one of them's a gargoyle, and write something. And he basically laid out what it was, and then Filoni and the other writers took off with it and made this Mortis trilogy. Does it hold more weight knowing that Lucas created this, that this was all Lucas's brainchild? Does it mean more to you knowing that, Justin, or does it still kind of just hit the same?
Kind of just hits the same. Like, I love that George. I love his creation, but him directing and I love his creation, but him, like, just leave it alone. I like how Filoni. What's that?
Let other people do it.
Yeah, and I like how Filoni is taking that inspiration and running with it, but still he's making it his own.
Yeah.
We were given an incredible playground, and I love getting to see other people play in it.
I agree. Yeah, I think for me, I actually I looked at it as like it holds a little bit more weight now. I feel like knowing that this was a Lucas brainchild and that it had a lot more to do with like the all around force, I kind of feel like
it feels a little more like it deserves. I guess deserves to be canon.
And it is canon.
Obviously, but
with Ahsoka, like if we look at the Ahsoka screenshots, like you had the father there in the middle, the son on the right, and then the daughter looks to be missing, which is another question that a lot of people have. Why is the daughter missing? Is it because the daughter is still alive and well, because like Justin just said, the daughter's Ahsoka now. But to me, it seems like Filoni wants to do more with this story to honor Lucas in a way, if that makes sense.
I think Filoni could look at this as being able to just kind of embrace more of Lucas's original vision.
The mysticism and stuff like that.
Yeah, which honestly, the ancient religions and hokey weapons. Yeah,
that's all it's about for sure.
I'm here for it.
Yeah. I love these comps, these Ahsoka comps, because you go back to what was that episode called? The Ghosts of Mortis, and you got Kenobi looking in the distance, and you can see the tower, right? Flash forward to Ahsoka, and you see Baylan Skoll looking in the distance, and you can see the tower. That tower of light. It's kind of hard to see. You got to get a little closer to the picture.
Yes,
so
this was There's
when he's
The
looking
beacon
at
of Gondor.
exactly. Yeah, the Gondor beacon. But it's pretty similar.
Yeah. We
Pretty
don't
similar.
see how, egg-shaped
Yep.
that top bit of light is in the bit from Ahsoka, but hey.
He's a lot farther away, I feel like, in Ahsoka.
Exactly.
So you don't really see the tower. So then that just leads to more questions. Is the planet that they're on now, is that Mortis? Or is it just another temple with some beam of light at the top, some random beam of light,
Are we gonna run into, another version of the Mortis Gods mural inside this building?
Right.
Are we gonna
because you had that in Rebels. You had
Yeah.
the connection with the Mortis Gods in Rebels where that's how they got into the world between worlds. So there is a clear connection to all of that.
Yes.
And right now it seems like they're heading straight towards some sort of Mortis something. Now I know a lot of people have been talking about Abeloth, the mother.
The chaos.
Right, because the mother, Phil, what you know about Abeloth? Because I know that she was considered the mother in EU, and that she was supposed to be one of the most powerful beings in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not I don't really know if she would have anything to do with the Mortis Gods. I mean, you got a father, so why not have a mother, right?
Well, I mean, ostensibly, she and the father were connected and then split because she was basically trending too much toward kind of the darkness of.
He wasn't
things.
doing the dishes,
He wasn't,
is what it was. He wasn't cleaning up after himself, and so she fucking left him, is what it was.
Not pulling his weight.
Them kids that fight all the time.
Aren't you supposed to be balanced? You got to balance these house chores.
Yeah, this was deep cut even for the EU, the old EU. Just her kind of connection through Jason Solo, and
that was New Jedi Order stuff.
Yeah,
Abeloth.
Yeah. That was the thing. New Jedi Order was a bold initiative. They very intentionally set out to change up the landscape of what was the Star Wars universe at the time.
Yeah, they were trying to
killed off a
reboot
bunch of characters. They, changed everyone's kind of approach to how the Force works, what we know about, the Jedi. And Abeloth was kind of the pinnacle of that, really.
Mm-hmm. She was a badass too, as far as I know. Like she messed things up.
Yeah. No, I mean, even just avatars, kind of little physical facets of Abeloth were troublesome.
Yeah. I think the one thing and I don't even know if it's right, but didn't Luke run into her at some point?
I
she just
think
Grandmaster Jedi Luke.
Yeah, but she just wrecked Grandmaster Jedi Luke.
Yeah.
As far as I remember. Took his lightsaber and just broke it over her knee like a stick. Yeah, I think it'd be kind of interesting to see them bring that kind of character from the EU back, to see they are actually bringing these Mortis Gods in to bring in Abeloth to show a crazy creature that can destroy the universe. One actually, and Justin, you're going to love this. Speaking of bringing old EU characters back, part of this interview included this right here, and I want you to tell me how you feel afterwards.
An episode of Mortis that I know fans would have found very interesting was that George was looking for two ancient Sith Lords that could, bring some meaning that would be kind of like an uber evil influence guiding the sun. And this was Darth Bane and Darth Revan, both of who existed in the EU. So it was going to be a big deal to bring these kind of legendary Sith Lords into Clone Wars.
Oh, Revan's my boy.
Man, that's some fun shit.
That'd
So
be
he goes
a
on-
great connection.
Yeah,
goes on
pulling
to
in the Knights
say-
of the Old Republic stuff is
Yep, and he goes on to say that they actually made scenes. They made the characters in the style of Clone Wars. They had the scenes ready. They got it was ready to go, and then
But eventually I got a call from George. And he said, I've been really thinking about this, and we should take that scene out with the Sith Lords. And as disappointing as it was in a way, I guess, because it would have been cool to have those characters appear in Clone Wars, it was absolutely the right thing to do, because they just can't exist in that form. They can't exist in that way. But I think for fans, it would be neat to know that at least that idea was considered, that we went very far with it, and that in the end, after discussions, it was really George that said, no, this, I thought this would be good, but I wanted to do this, but it doesn't jive with my bigger explanation of the Force.
so if you needed any more reasons to dislike George Lucas, there's one more for you. What would you think if Darth Bane and Revan showed up in Clone Wars like that, Justin? Would you be excited, or would that be kind of like Filoni was saying, it wouldn't have been the right time?
Well, now that I've seen Filoni explain it, I'm all behind him. But me as the giddy fanboy and just remembering Knights of the Old Republic, I want it. I want it so bad. And that's why, like, in the sequels, when they mention the Revan trooper or the Revan squad or whatnot, I threw a fucking hissy fit. I loved it so much. But that was it. That was the only mention. But he's there. He's canon now.
Yeah, I think
I
it's
think
cool
that's the bigger thing there is just kind of that adding a canon layer to the events of KOTOR is, why not?
And I think it's cool to know that they were just throwing those ideas around.
Yeah.
Because they're probably still throwing those ideas around.
Yeah.
And if they were that, they were serious about it back then. Obviously, they made the scenes for it.
Or at least
do it again.
They probably at least storyboarded them anyway. Whether or not they actually filmed them.
It said they animated it, and I skipped a lot of that portion of the interview.
Gotcha.
Mentioned that they had animated and they had sent it to Lucas to show him the the stuff. So, I found that very interesting that they were going to connect these characters with, what was that, 10,000 years in the past, basically.
Yeah.
But maybe someday, right?
One can hope. They have a wonderful facet to run with if they choose.
Yeah. So the biggest question about this Mortis trilogy is, was it a dream? By the end of it, did they just dream all this, or did everything actually happen and they got, their circuits wiped? Phil, what do you think?
I like to think of it more that it actually happened. That it wasn't just a dream. Which one feels more in keeping with the reality as we know it in Star Wars? Like in the realm of what we know is possible in Star Wars. Is it more likely that it was a dream or that it actually happened and Anakin had his memory wiped? All three of them just had their memories wiped.
Yeah. There's obviously the scene there. I do have that scene where he does get his memory wiped. But I also don't know if they would have actually wiped their memory if the son didn't show him everything that he would do.
Yeah.
Because he mentions in there, my son broke the laws of time.
Yeah.
So he literally showed him what was actually going to happen. He didn't show him some Force vision. He showed him the real events that were going to happen.
And
what do you think about breaking the rules of time, Justin? They literally that opens up more of a possibility for time travel in Star Wars and a complete reboot. What do you think of?
Oh man, I think it would retcon all the future is clouded, because that was a straight line, and if it obviously happened, but if he knew that was going to happen, that sort of fucks it up. Like
Well,
I
the future's only clouded for Yoda and Anakin. Like the future was not clouded for the Son. Like that is how powerful they are. Like that's why I think that they were in the world between worlds, because they could literally go through space and time and see it all.
True.
But I yeah. Time travel would be a very weird thing to bring into Star Wars.
No, they gotta leave it out.
They keep getting closer. They keep inching closer and closer to Star Trek status.
No.
Be crazy. Justin, are you are you positive that the daughter is Ahsoka?
Yeah. From all the little Easter eggs and nudges, I don't think this was a dream. The owl showing up, her hopping in the world between worlds, it just makes sense to me. And the daughter's statue is broken. Maybe she is truly already embodied. But who knows?
Who right now in the list of characters that we have, with Ahsoka being alive and stuff and whatever, who would take the father role?
Balin.
I know we kind of talked about it a little bit earlier, but who do you think? You think Balin would take father?
Balin. He seems like a very even-keeled person. Even though he's doing the bad thing, he knows why.
Why is he doing
that reason?
Yeah.
We don't know yet.
Yeah.
We don't know yet. And then
I don't think he's doing anything bad. He's just misunderstood.
I just wanted to go to a new galaxy. That's all. But
to see something
right.
new.
And then, if anything, my best guess would be maybe Maul for the Son.
Maul's.
I know that's what the original sequel is going to be. Is Maul was the ultimate bad guy, and maybe
Maul's
this
long
is a way to.
dead.
I know, but still, it would be cool.
Okay.
We thought that before.
And look, if Ezra can go pull Ahsoka out of the world between worlds, who's stopping, Balin to go pull Darth Maul out of the world between worlds?
Obi-Wan gets him.
He just hops through the world between world, stops at that moment, and then
I do think that would cheapen Maul's, whole everything about that last scene that Maul gets. I think there's too much actually like character growth that happened there that we'd, lose some of that impact. But
I love your theory on Ezra.
I was just gonna say, what if Luke is the father and Ezra is the son? Because in a way, Ezra and Ahsoka are siblings already, kind of. I mean, not really. I would say more Sabine and Ezra are like siblings.
Oh,
definitely closer there.
How about Sabine as the daughter, Ezra as the son, and Ahsoka as the father? What a twist!
Well, I mean, I don't want to tie gender too much into.
I don't think you could. I don't think it would matter that much.
Yeah,
I think that Ahsoka being
it is the role to fill
the balance.
Rather
her being
than,
the balance would make more sense than her being the male or female, whatever. The balance is what matters there. So I love this. I've been thinking about this ever since Phil mentioned Ezra being the son. I love the thought of Ezra being right there on the dark side, like right there, because he's been alone for a long time. He's been alone on that planet for a long time, thinking about whatever. And then you got Sabine, who has been trying to train as a Jedi, and she's not as powerful as Ezra, but they do squabble like siblings, and neither one of them really used a lightsaber during the final battles in Ahsoka.
That's
they
true.
used a lot of
They're
just
using the Force
pushing and force grabbing and stuff like that, and that's all the son and daughter did.
Yeah, no,
they just catching lightning and force battling.
Even the father just grabbed the blade and just and just kind of pushes it back. He's like, no, we're not doing that here.
So again, it could make Ezra like a surprise villain that would be super cool, and then you have to like trap them on Mortis again or whatever. Ahsoka has to take them to Mortis, so they technically Ahsoka, Sabine, and Ezra never die. Oh, what a great day that would be for Rebels fans, for those three characters to never die. They just go and be immortal on Mortis.
And that's why they're not in the sequel.
That's why they're not in the sequel. That was kind of the whole thing I was getting at, because when Phil said that 40 minutes ago, I was like, oh my God. And then my brain started turning.
I'm sorry I made you think, man. I
no, you're good. I like to think. I think I want to just play one of my favorite clips from these shows. This 3-episode arc.
Is this our deleted scene?
No. There were no. I didn't get any deleted scenes, but it's just one of the cooler clips of.
Then your notes lied.
No. The deleted scene note was about the Filoni interview.
Oh, okay. Never mind then.
What did it say? There was a deleted scene. Check this out. Filoni clip 3.
I
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, here we go.
I will not look. The Force is strong.
Anakin, please!
You are my brother, Anakin! Powerful Sith you will be. I hate you! No!
I just love that clip so much.
It's
first
so
watching
good.
that, you're like, wait, he knows he sees Alderaan being blown up. Like he literally sees everything until his death. Like the son messes with him hard, and I think one of my favorite parts of that is Anakin trying his hardest not to look. It's kind of showing how good he is, like how good he really wants to be, because he's trying so hard not to see everything. Giving me more chosen one vibes. You know what I mean?
He did not want to go down the path that he ends up on.
Oh yeah, dude, I love it. Yeah, but that was just I forgot to kind of play that earlier. I just wanted to make sure I played it because it's one of the best scenes out of the entire little trilogy.
I mean, he does do an epic no.
I mean, and without the vocal distortion that we get of him in episode 3,
like he's underwater.
Yeah. Sounded like someone was drowning James Earl Jones.
Yeah, weird, super weird. So I think we've kind of come to the conclusion that the Mortis trilogy and the World Between Worlds are kind of one and the same.
Yeah, it's very. There are too many intertwined concepts there.
Yeah,
and it's what Rebels gives us.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Is I think Rebels kind of just gave us a continuation of the Mortis trilogy or the Mortis Gods story, and so to kind of, I think they're going to finish that up, hopefully in Ahsoka with like showing Baylan. Obviously, they're continuing Baylan's story.
Yeah, because he's been recast. Let's.
And he looks.
I like Roy McCann.
Dude, and Roy looks great. He's got the beard going.
Yeah,
and
no,
he looks good.
I'm impressed with the shots I've seen so far.
And
I really am.
I watched an interview with him, and he's Like from what he was saying, he seems like he's taking very good care of the character.
He definitely wants to respect Ray Stevenson's memory, and I love him for that.
Right. But they're continuing that story. So, I mean, there's got to be something more with the Mortis Gods here, coming up in the next couple shows. You know,
soon
could be in Mando and Grogu. It could be we might get a stinger in Mando and Grogu, an after credit scene, because Favreau loves doing that.
That'd be really fun.
Getting one of those.
Favreau setting up stingers in a movie? No.
I just can't wait till people start using the term Mandoverse, and it's gonna really piss me off because I've been saying it for a long time. And once the bigger places start referencing Mandoverse, I'm gonna start calling them out.
I'm gonna specifically call it something different just to fuck with you.
I hope you do. Don't take my shit. But yeah, is there anything else you guys wanted to cover with the Mortis Gods or the trilogy or Ahsoka or anything like that? Start with Justin.
I just want to tell Phil thank you. You worded it so well. It does bring a new sense of mysticism to Star Wars for me. Is seeing the Mortis Gods come or have Easter eggs and more tidbits with the future.
And it just gives us something that's not the same, over explanation that we got with the midichlorians. It's it gives us that mystery back.
Yeah. Phil, was there anything else you wanted to say with the Mortis Gods? Any predictions you got for upcoming Star Wars stuff?
Balin's skull will follow the pointing finger of the father and find wherever that beacon is, and we'll see something new. I legitimately would love to see this art, the Mortis Gods art, show up again, specifically in a live action version, just excuse me, just reprising that bit to connect directly to Rebels. I mean, not that Ahsoka hasn't already directly connected to Rebels enough, but yeah, I think we'll see that art show up again.
Yeah, I hope so. And I think it'd be cool to see the Mortis Gods in live action too, like you were saying, seeing the transformation into the Griffin or the Gargoyle or whatever. I think that'd be pretty cool. Well, I think that's gonna do it for us this week. These episodes aren't very long. We're not breaking down an episode scene by scene,
and we don't need to. I mean,
it's
out there. You guys can find this. There's so much to actually go back and see. It made me so happy and we talked about this back when we covered Ahsoka, but just seeing that statue of the Mortis God, just seeing the statue there
kind of gave you that, oh shit, here we go. Yeah, it definitely got me excited for sure. Well, there have been some changes in the Quest Me universe over here. We now have everything: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. Just search Quest Me Podcast and go follow us. That's where you can find all of our episodes, all of our videos, all of our live shows, stuff like that. Like I said, Facebook, YouTube, and X, Twitter, whatever. Just search Quest Me Podcast and you will find us. Our next episode will be 2 weeks from now, either Saturday or Sunday. I'm saying weekends at around 9:30 Central Time. So it's just depending on how schedules work out. We'll be here either Saturday or Sunday in 2 weeks to talk about some more Star Wars. I got nothing else. Yeah. So for Quest Me, I have been your host.
I think he's pointing at me. I'm Phil.
And I'm Justin.
And of course, my name is Josh. We're going to talk to you in a couple weeks. May the Force be with you.